Hello. This is Mr. William Munroe. This morning, I am here to discuss and to speak about the problem and the atrocity that the PNM, what they have done to African people in Trinidad and Tobago. And I'm saying to you, over the years, the PNM have been in government over 40 years, 40-something years. And they always pretend that they're looking after the African people and fooling them, completely fooling them. Because let us do some statistics. And I will start on asking you. We are number one in terms of the population. Now listen to this. If you are not checking the mix, then the Indians are in front in the population. But when you check an orange juice, if you take a cup of orange juice and you put water in it, it is still orange juice. So all the mix is African. So then we become the majority in the population. We are in the majority. When it comes to economically or financially viable, we are in the bottom of the barrel. It's no maybe about it. Over 40 years, the PNM fooled the African. It's no maybe about it. And I'm going to show you. If you can show me 10 lucrative African businessmen in Trinidad and Tobago, visible then, where you can see that more or less they can just sign a check probably for $1 million or more. If you can show me 10, well then, something wrong with me then, because I haven't seen 10, and I was checking around, and I didn't even see 5. You cannot check how many Chinese businesses have in Trinidad and Tobago. Well, all the Syrians involved in business, and the Indians, well, then they control all the business. They hard with the jobs, so they this and this, but they work hard for that. Because I always say, Trinidad and Tobago was built by the African and the Indians. So I have no problem with that. But the Syrian, well, you know, they dig out the eyes of your grandfather and family and come with the cloth and the different things and fool and who they fool, and then they're still fooling. The PNM give all the contract to the Syrian and the Indians, and none to Africa. And there's no maybe about it. If you look about, you cannot see no viable businessman in terms of an African man doing and get no multi-million-dollar contract until they always tell you that we don't have the tools and the equipment to do that. But I know if they had given us the contract, we would have received loans and benefit from the bank, so we would be able to do the contract easy and lucratively. Laventille never failed the PNM yet. And it would not have taken the PNM $2 billion to change the look on the face of Laventille. It would not, and the way they spend money in feasibility and all the different things, billions of dollars. So $2 billion was nothing to spend to change the whole look of that Laventille area. And I'm saying, over 40-something years up to now, some of the people in Laventille still using latrine and those kind of outdoor toilets. That is totally unfair. Totally unfair. And I'm saying, the PNM ignore and fool the African people too long, so we have to get serious and understand the way we're going forward. It's no baby about it, how we are going forward in the future. We have to stand firm, and whosoever is there today, because for that matter, the government was saying that the PNM government was saying they give African people what African people want. We give them education. And the way in which they speak about the education, like if the monies that you have to spend for the education come from the pocket of the grandmother, leave that wealth, the oil and the gas and the pitch and everything, that belongs to we. They're only supposed to govern it for us. So they're not giving us no education. And that is out of the question completely. When it comes to favor, did any way an African man come and ask them for a favor or to go forward positively, they put stumbling block in this way. I just want to use one for that matter, the Mecca. That is where MovieTowne is. Everyone, most of the people, and I can't say everyone, but most of the people, people, will know that that property there was belonging to me, leased by the government of Trinidad and Tobago. The cadastral sheet was signed by the late Hassan Ali. And what happened? When they see the development that was taking place there, and they see the value then, because it was mangrove, the whole place was mangrove, everyone knows that. and they see the value of what I was doing. The first thing they did, when I started developing and backfilling, they filed an injunction against me. But in those days, it was very difficult to get work, and I had a lot of people employed. So those people joined with me, and we went down Woodford Square, and we start, and we fight, and eventually we put pressure that they had to take it to Parliament, and eventually they were able to sign it again, and that is how Hassanati was able to sign the cadastral sheet. And then after I was able to continue my development. And when they start to see what was happening down there, the beauty that was coming out of what my organization was doing, I brought on a tent while the late Alvin Dorset was building my stadium for me, because I was developing there for entertainment. And for that matter, at that time, they had no noise control, but I know it was coming to Trinidad and Tobago sooner or later. So I was hoping to build the grandstand then, or the stand, so the sound system, the volume would have gone to the ocean then. So we would not have the problem that we're having now, or what is taking place now. And I brought on a tent also from Florida, cost me to land it and everything. It was the biggest tent Trinidad and Tobago I've ever had seen. It was holding thousands and thousands. And when it was erected up there still, while we developing and preparing, somebody called me at home on Saturday morning and said, Mr. Munroe, you're here and you don't know what is happening down on the foreshore. I said, what is happening? He said, they're destroying your development and everything down there. I said, what craziness you saying? And I rushed down there. Well, when I rushed down there, well, they nearly execute me too, because it was guns, army, and trucks and everything, and they just take the property away from me, just so, take it away, and hear what they were telling me at the time. And I was frightened too, when I see all these guns and everything, and probably, Africans don't stand up for Africans, so I frightened. And they mentioned, if I do anything, I wouldn't live to see the court matter and anything come true. So I got frightened. And they say, what we will do, we will give you an alternative. We will give you, after spending millions of dollars, we will give you $500,000. That's on record. They give $500,000. And they put me in the back. I think everybody who remember the spectrum, they remember the spectrum in the back. And I say, all right, it's land again. I took it and I start developing it again. And as soon as I started developing, every week we get in a letter stating, don't erect anything there. Just keep the land there. I said, what kind of craziness is that? They are not giving us any approval to do anything. So I built up a little shed. And even though they say, I have to take down that. I was there like a mannequin. We were there doing absolutely nothing. First, Soca Monarch took place there and everything. And then any ugliness that started happening in the Diego Martin or Petty Valley or anywhere around the area, any ugliness, they say it happened at the Spectrum. And they give it just a bad name that nobody wanted to go there again. So it was just there on my hands. I had nothing to do with it. I didn't know what to do with it. Up come the gentleman that owned MovieTowne. He came to me and said, Brother Munroe, I see you're not doing anything here and you can't get no road approval, you can't get no approval to build or anything, to do anything. So what you gonna do? Why don't you sell me here that we can play golf, mini golf? You know when you're practicing for golf? So he said, we will practice for golf and everything like that. And I will give you some money for the lease and hand it over to me. Well, believe you me, that was music to my ears because I was doing nothing with it and nothing. And I sell it to him cheap. Because at the time, between the front and the back, I've already spent over $10 to $12 million on the land and the things like that. And I eventually paid me $2 million for the lease then. And I passed it on to him, not knowing it was a trick with them and the board member, as soon as he got the lease transferred to him, they took him and they placed him the place where they removed me from in the front with all my lands and everything, and they give it to him. That is where now MovieTowne and Price Match and the other hotel on the side, that is what become of there. And all what they said that there was not, I couldn't get. They get new roads, they was able to build whatsoever they want to build and everything, because it was not given. That was too much then for, as a black man. That is how they just, any way they could get a chance to destroy a black man, that is what they do. And I'm saying, again, problem that I went through under the PNM. When Manning promised that he's going to develop East Port of Spain, that is in the George Street area and the different things like that. And when I heard so, I said, well, that is fantastic, that is a very good thing, because I was about to build my infrastructure there. I went to Rowley. At the time, Rowley was the Minister of Housing, and he was at the AGC building right in George Street there. So I went to him with all my approval with the plans and everything to show him what I want to do at the development there. And he ran me. When I say run me, he said, but no, where are you going with that? But move away with me with this plan and this thing. I have no time for that, but get away with that. Well, I didn't give up, so I went to the Prime Minister at the time, that is the late Patrick Manning. And when he looked at it, he said, Brother Munroe, if you build this building, we will be able to rent it from you. So when I heard that, that was music to my ears. They give me a recommendation, so I could have taken that recommendation to the bank. And on the strength of that recommendation, the bank was able to give me my loan with what I have, and I was able to build the building. Everyone know Jew Place in Port of Spain, the prettiest building, 7-story, that is in existing in Port of Spain. Well kept, and the prettiest, I must say the prettiest, and everyone knows it. Beautiful and, I mean, properly maintained. When it was completed, now most of the Syrian building, Harari family and all of them, some of them getting $12 and some getting $13 a square foot, some getting $14 and all the things like that. When they're ready now for my building to rent, they say, well, we can't give you those kind of money. So they was able to offer $9 a square foot. So that is way under what those other people was getting. I had no other choice because I'm owing the bank. I have to pay the bank. I could tell you the mortgage I was paying is, still $385,000 a month. And they start paying, okay, so it was helping me pay my mortgage. All of a sudden, just so, they stopped paying the rent. For 8 months, 8 months, they stopped paying me my rent. Mainly because they wanted the bank to take the building away from me, and then it would have ended up in the hands of the Syrian. Just like on everybody know when I built Spectacular from 111 to 117 Henry Street, that is when I built on Breakdown. It was Kingdom of the Wizard, better known as Spectacular. Spectacular had leased it from me, and they was popularizing the Calypso, so they called it Spectacular. So most people know the building as Spectacular. And that building now is in the hands of the Syrian. To the back of Spectacular, that is King's Court, a massive building on Frederick Street. That was owned by the Martino brothers. And believe you me, that same building today, because of the pressure that you usually get from this PNM government, that building is still in the hands now of the Syrian. So they get everything. So it is like everything supposed to go to, that is beneficial, what should be beneficial to the African people, that goes to the Syrian. And for what, I don't know. Manning, who people say is so quiet and nice and lovely and decent, is the one, you remember, the pension, the legal pension for the ageable people, the senior citizen. That was free. As soon as you reach the age, you could have applied and get your pension. So wicked. And they just don't like the African people to get things. he changed it to a grant. So when you change that to a grant, now he's just giving it. Who you want to give, he give, and who you don't want to give, he ain't give. Let us fight for our people and to do something to liberate our people. And this is the time we will get support locally and internationally. Nothing, no support, because he was probably close to Rowley and them, and they giving him a little change that he could play a carnival in the street, like Monday and Tuesday, carnival Monday and Tuesday, and then build something around the savannah and charge people a lot of money. And that is all. That is still taking place. I never participate in that because that is total madness. So I am saying, what could we do to change this problem that we face? Because we need to be visible in business in this modern time, because I'll tell you, when you stranded a people like how you have them hold them to ransom, and people become very knowledgeable today. You must recognize what is taking place with the violence and the home invasion, and because the poor people now, that is 90% and 95% is African people that is shooting, looting, and doing all the things. And people say that, oh, they have no behavior, they have no this. Because like they have no alternative, they are stranded. And when you're stranded, it's like if you're stranded, they say, any port for a storm. And that is exactly what they create. They create that problem by neglecting the people of African people. And that is why we're in that position where the looting and the shooting and the different things, that still everybody getting down on them and say, well, that is not the right thing they are doing. If the PNM have to come back somewhere along the line in office at all, I am saying, well, the only person I know inside that PNM office, to be frank, that is a lovable person. She cares about people, and she cares about African people, and she willing, and she always silently speaks to me, because Rowley is a wicked man, because if he know that she speaks to me, there's a problem. And she speaks about the wickedness, and sometimes she'll be asking them, but you all are not giving African people no contract and things like that. That is the Dr. Gatsby Dodd. That is basically that lady. If she genuinely love, and she's showing genuinely from her heart, the love that she show, and if she mean it, well then, she could consider thinking, probably in the next so many years, to fight for office with the expectation that you go in there to look after the interests of African people. I'm not saying that if you're a leader, that you cannot look after the interests of the other people because you're a leader. That is what you're supposed to do. But the interests of African people have to be, you have to put us in front at this time, because we need to come out of that hole that we're in, that they put us in. Because economically, we are in the bottom of the ladder. We have nothing, absolutely nothing. There's no maybe about it, nothing. When you look around, when you look at all the business and the infrastructure, as I mentioned in tongue, when they say how much building or we have, this one have, that one have, it's only one, as I say in Port of Spain, that I fighting and try and keep. With the headache, I couldn't sleep, you see these? The headache I get from them every day. That's the PNM threatening me then to move from the office. Even the ex-minister of Labor, he's the only one that stand up and tell them, well, how you want to move from the building? What do you think the population will say? To go in a Syrian building that is in Park Street itself, right next door to my building, right next door, a few yards away. And because of that, they didn't even let him run back for the election. For the safer check on that, he didn't go up for the election. And that is how, because he tried to look after the interests of one African man. So I don't know how we're going to go forward with this problem that we face, because it is very bad. It is very, very bad. And it is dangerous for the country too. Because they didn't develop, that is the PNM now, they didn't develop Trinidad and Tobago, because the kind of money that passed through, all they lend Barbados money, they lend Guyana money, Jamaica and all of that. And they didn't study Trinidad and Tobago. Because 1970, Trinidad was way advanced in front of Singapore. Singapore have no oil, no gas, no pitch and things like that. And today, Singapore is a first world country where many people looking to follow the way in which they are going. First world country, beautiful, skyscraper and everything, leading in everything. And look at Trinidad and Tobago. When you leave from Over Junction going down to Port of Spain, well then you want to know if the whole of Port of Spain is a labas, and there's no maybe about it. Even when you go in the city itself and you go passing around by the banks and everything, you will see all the vagrants and them people doing their numbers all in the street, all on the bank, on the pavement and things. And that is real, that is so. And now I see that they're building a building right going down by the coconut growers a little down there to house them. So what will happen when you house these people there? It is just like those that they house by the bridge going on by Bester Street police station. That same building, the same thing will happen. Same thing will happen. There's no if and no maybe about it. But I mean, if they was thinking and if they was caring about people, you'd have looked to build that somewhere out of the city in a nice area where the people have freedom and they would feel at home, where you could rehabilitate them out of the city. And then you could, for that matter, when you rehabilitate them, they can come back in the city and dwell among the people and things like that. But that is what they did. So I don't know. I keep asking, what could we do to come out of this problem? Well, for that matter, at this time, we out of the stranglehold as African people of the PNM. Because I even want to go back again to my building. When the UNC was in power at the time, every first of the month, I get my rent. There's no maybe about it. Every first of the month, correct? It is there, it is on record, I get my rent. And believe me, even today, as it is, the PNM, they owe me, not the 8 months again as before, but they owe me 3 months. And that is how it is. So why they usually put all this pressure on African people and don't want them to go forward? I don't know. I really don't know what we have to do to continue to go forward as a people and to be recognized in a positive way, economically and otherwise, and in business, that anywhere you pass, you'll see Syrian business, Indian business, the Chinese business, and the African business. I ain't talking about parlor, like how they have us with the parlor, and they're quick to give all the other people all the contract and the different big contract, and all you give them to do is African people box drain and all this thing, all those kind of, I mean, simple things that they cannot achieve wealth that way, and that is really a problem. One of the things I would like to even speak about culture, the Soca Monarch. I want to make mention of the international Soca Monarch that was run by Caribbean Prestige, and at least I was the chairman of that. I don't know how to express the way in which I feel about the neglect of the government for not supporting a show of that magnitude. Now, that show was filling up all the guest houses, all the hotels of Trinidad and Tobago. At that time, the chairman or the manager of Hyatt, he was on TV because I show him in my Soca Monarch ad where he was saying it, because then I take it and I use it as an ad. Since in June, he sold out the hotel completely for the Soca Monarch, not Carnival Monday and Tuesday, for Fantastic Friday. Now, you want to tell me, you have a show of that magnitude that's selling out, bringing in foreigners from all over, because remember I was bringing on all the big movie stars, Chris Tucker and all Terrence J. I bring all these big artists from abroad, and Terrence J that had a show on 106 and Park. When he came down, I brought him down, he went back with a Trinidad and Tobago flag in his hand. He went on BET Live in the show and saying he now from Trinidad and Tobago, from the international Soca Monarch. If you're planning, they're asking the people, if you're planning and thinking of having a vacation, please go to Trinidad and Tobago at the time of the Soca Monarch. It is safe. The people is very humble and nice. The food was good, and security is safe. And when you get that kind of endorsement, the government at the time, PNM, they couldn't pay for that. They couldn't pay for that. But they allow that. When I realized that I was not getting any support from them, I remember the late Marlene McDonald and Joan Williams still alive. They treated me very discourteously. Not courteous at all, discourteously, roughly and everything like that. And when Donald Trump, that was under Pandy, came to Trinidad and Tobago to do Miss World, when he came, they spent $150 million, 75, it is on record, 75 to beautify the place for him and all the things and all. They had given him the sense of excellence. When he came down, he said, no, you don't want that. And they went down Shagaramas there and fixed a place, spend millions. All he promised them to bring down tourists to fill the hotel. And when he did the show, but he didn't fill the hotel. And they know the value of tourism. That is why they give him that kind of money. And the most amount of money I received from the PNM government is $1,800,000. And I sell out every hotel, every guest house and everything. But what I thought the government would have done, when you look at a show of that magnitude, and let us compare it with America Got Talent. America Got Talent is just people singing, as you know, all kind of singing. But it is so popular in the world today. Anyway, you look on your camera, on your phone, anyway, it's America Got Talent. And you cannot compare that with the international Soca Monarch what I was producing. There is no way. America Got Talent and Miss Universe that Donald Trump did. Miss Universe is what? Pretty ladies, right? Go up on the stage, pretty dresses, nice face. They ask them a question, and that is Miss Universe, you know. But you get all them pretty ladies in Soca Monarch, and prettier than some of them, pretty, and not, then you get the steel band as the national instrument on stage, and then you get the artists themselves with a massive and fantastic production and thing on the stage. And then what? 40,000 people, ageable, young people, ageable people. Well, the ageable people enjoying themselves over 40. When they leave there, they come out young. They come in ageable and leave young because the happiness and the joy that they get in the production. And you want to tell me the government and Rolly and them had no vision to see that they could have come in and sit down with Caribbean Prestige Organization and say, what could we do to make the event better, that we can showcase Trinidad Carnival in a positive way to the world as it is going. And then I would have talked to them and guided them. Some of the stars that we could not have been able to pay, them big stars, they would have been able to work together with me, bring them up, pay better salary to the artists, because America Got Talent is $1 million US prize. Because I had asked for $1 million US for my first prize, and they say, Munroe crazy and different things. But when I had asked for that, people, all Beanie Man and all them big Jamaican stars, say they coming to Trinidad to be a part of the international Soca Monarch. And then the government would have to rent floating hotel ships, that is hotel, and park them right by Hyatt and all around the area to hold the people that would have been coming to Trinidad and Tobago. Carnival would not have been like what it is now, I don't know. We cannot say we are no carnival now because, and you don't even see foreigners and different, hardly you see foreigners and the people in the guest house and all the things. The people in the savannah, even around the cottages that they build around, they pay money and they can't even get back their monies and things because of the weakness and the ugliness. And the carnival is no more. You have to revitalize that show And you had to get somebody with vision, because for me, I cannot come back in that, because I changed my life and I surrender my life to the Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. So I was not able to be involved in those things as entertainment. But the government or whosoever it is supposed to look at visionary people who have vision and talk to them, call them, speak to them, and work with them, not to try to damage their lifestyle and pressure them and put them in technically in dark hole, man, and leave them like nothing. From the UNC again, I got a gold medal for the Hummingbird goal for my contribution. I got an award in St. Vincent. I get an award in Grenada. And they was giving me, they're still working at the award, I don't know what kind, in Antigua for the work that I've done in culture. And these ministers and these PNM ministers and those people never pay me no respect. They never even said no vision. They wouldn't talk to you when you ask for a meeting. As I tell you, they treat you like nothing. I don't know. You see, these leaders, these black leaders from the PNM, they take advantage, I must say, on African people in Trinidad and Tobago. And I do hope that even the government that is here now, that is the Honorable Prime Minister, would look, because she made her 5 years before, but I don't have to tell you, she made millionaires and billionaires out of her people. Okay, I'm not saying it was right, but she see her people at the time needed that kind of support, so she gave it to them. But we now need some kind of support to go forward in a positive way, because we cannot be in terms of the population, that numbers that we have, and then we are definitely the bottom of the barrel economically, and nothing where business is concerned. Like we evaporated from church. And long time before PNM, we had a lot of black businesses, but they destroy all. They destroy all. That is the PNM I'm saying. So I don't know. Before I conclude, I must bring in a gentleman that, oh boy, when I see him and when I hear him speak, it usually upsets me so much, so I give him a name. I call him Frog Face. That is Inbert, the ex-Minister of Finance. And listen to some wickedness and how evil again the PNM. You know, ageable people usually quick to put on the little monies for the little funeral and things, so when they pass, they will not say the horror. Some of them save the little 20, 25, 30,000 dollars. From the time he realized that these people have little $25,000 in the bank, you remember what he did just before the election? He said, if you have that in the bank, you will not be able to receive any pension again. Well, that was our uproar, and the people come now and he realized that if he implement that, he will lose the election. In any case, he loses, and they could have, people becoming knowledgeable and sensible and recognize the wickedness of them. So they start to keep them far away from them. Far away from them. And even before that, he knows the regular people using the poor people, little gas, gas stove and the gas, this and the gas. And hear what he say. I raise the gas and they didn't say nothing. I raise it again and they didn't say nothing. And I gonna raise it again, and he did. And they never rioted. So I don't know if he wanted African people to riot, and then the world and the population would have said that black people, African people have no behavior and things like that. And that is the wickedness of them. And like some people like wickedness or ugliness. I don't know in this area, to be frank, it is only Syrian that is there, or what, or Chinese or what, but how he get back his seat, I don't know. And just if people glutton for punishment, because I can't understand how he could get back a seat as a parliamentarian. To be honest, I don't know. But at the moment, I'm saying I will stop there from now. I know, and look around and see what is happening to our people. And somebody, some young person has to come up, start afresh and say, I love African people and I know that they need a start in life, and let us represent them and let us get serious and go forward. And they have to not only love African people, love Trinidad and Tobago. And I'm not saying not to love all the different races and the people, but the other people, they're all right already. All of them wealthy. It's only we who are stranded. And we need to get out of this darkness and this dark hole that the PNM put us in. So I look forward for that somebody, some way to come up, some way come out, as what is happening in Africa, you know, with this young man. Come up and do something for African people and say, help us to be visible economically and otherwise. So at the moment, I'm going to take a rest for the time, being on hope. That hope is on the way for African people.